and welcome to Monkey Broadcast, our monthly review discussion show with me, the Jonin Monkey.
And me, Sven the Crusader.
So, here we are in the month of May. Insert comment about the month.
Well, in the words of the Fallout 3 soundtrack, we'll get married in the month of May. Wait. No.
I would say you gave slash pics ideas, but that implies we have slash pickers, but...
That implies we have female fans.
Yeah.
That implies we have fans.
Oh, it's funny because it's soul-shatteringly true. Anyway.
We're so alone, all we have are our baguettes.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Yeah, this has kind of been an interesting one because there's been a lot of problems behind the scenes. In fact, this is going to be a shorter Monkey Broadcast than usual because, well, we've had 2 failed recordings of this, and even now we don't have that much content to go with anyway.
What can we say? May's been kind of boring.
Yep. Curse you, May! Anyway.
Insert large ham here, obligatorily.
That's true. Speaking of which, it's time to introduce our first section, Q&A!
Speaking of ham voice.
Yeah. Like it says in the title, this is where we provide answers to questions sent to us by our fans and subscribers. If you'd like us to answer your questions, please send them to us via YouTube PMs or leave a comment in this video. And today we have 2 questions, which, to be honest, will more likely lead into review. So, our first question comes from Dorko4U, and he asks,
have you played Super Mario 3D Land? What do you think of it?
I have not played Super Mario 3D Land.
Unfortunately, neither have I.
Woo.
Yeah, it's on my massive to-do list of games, but the thing is, the reason why I didn't buy it on launch day is because I know it's a bad thing to do to just judge a game based on a trailer without even playing it, but there was nothing about Super Mario 3D Land that made me think, oh, I must get this now. I mean, the Tanuki was kind of cool, but the whole nostalgia factor of it is not enough to make me run out and buy it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, besides, apparently if you put a Tanuki suit in your video game, you are endorsing the murder of millions of fuzzy animals.
I still don't get it. What's even worse is that Pino actually said, we only did this to gain attention.
Oh, joy of heavenly joys, legitimized attention whores. Who people support.
Yeah, that's all we can really say about Super Mario 3D Land. Neither of us have played it. In my case, I'll get around to it eventually, but I'm just not gripped by it right now. And to be honest, if you just let me go on a tangent for a second, why is Nintendo suddenly shoving the Tanuki tail into everything? I mean, it wasn't that cool of an item. There are many better items, even in Mario Bros. 3. I mean, I would like to see a return of the Hammer Bros suit rather than the Tanuki tail, but...
Apparently the fandom really wants something.
Yeah,
apparently when the fandom really wants something, Nintendo decides, okay, we won't just give it to you, we'll give it to you until the point you're sick of it and shut up.
That actually sounds like a legitimate strategy. Oh, jeez. Well, if that seems to work, Nintendo, I would like the return of the cape. That was far cooler than the Tanuki tail. I'm sorry. Not to mention it had exactly the same bloody function, so I don't know why everyone's whining about the Tanuki tail. Sorry, rant over.
Capes are automatically more badass than a furry suit.
Definitely.
That someone on DeviantArt is probably salivating over right at this very minute.
That just gave me an image I did not want in my head. Moving on.
You're welcome. So, our next question comes from CiproCrash19.
What is your opinion on Xenoblade Chronicles?
First of all, I would like to say, damn, but people love sending me questions about games I haven't played.
Thankfully, I have played this game, so I can give opinions on it. The storyline I won't go into because I'm saving that for a VGT pocket down the line, but generally, in terms of the game, I would say pretty awesome, I won't lie.
Yeah, pretty much all I know about the game is that it was one of the rare games dubbed in Britain and thus has British actors. And through that I also learned that the main character is voiced by the dude who played Anders in Dragon Age 2. Which I find hilarious because the dude went from terrorist to protagonist.
Yeah, the British cast, I know some people have posted in reviews that they find the voices unbearable, but I honestly quite like them. I mean, okay, yeah, not every single one of them hits the mark like 100%, but at the same time, they still do a pretty good job of it. I think it's mostly due to lack of experience, since there's not really much of a voice acting here in Britain. I mean, maybe you'll get some people on radio plays on stuff like BBC4, but that's about it. In terms of the gameplay, it's pretty fun, although I will say two things. One, I know, like, every gamer's instinct whenever they see a wall of text as part of a tutorial is just to ignore it. My suggestion would be just take some time to press start and read through it, because Xenoblade, a really good, really fun, really involved battle system, but there are a lot of mechanics to it, and the game doesn't really explain all of them from the outset, so it's better to just take your time and learn how all the moves work before you start going into boss battles. Otherwise, you get into periods where you may have noticed from one of my quickfire reviews that I said I was having fun once the game stopped kicking my ass every 5 seconds.
Oh, kind of like me in Fire Emblem 5.
But yeah, once I got to grips with it, the battle system was a lot of fun. It's kind of hard to explain, really. It's kind of real-time, except it's not, because you have to select like menus and special moves right off the bat, so you have like different symbols that represent all the different moves, and you're selecting them whilst running towards the enemy. It sounds complicated, but it works well in practice. The only slight negative I can say against the gameplay is, okay, these two things, I wouldn't say they're game breakers, but they just serve as two pet peeves I have with RPGs. The first, since it's a minor aesthetical thing, I'll get that out of the way first. I'm not sure what you'd call this, but basically, you know that feature in RPGs, Mass Effect has this as well, when you equip an armor or a weapon onto a character, and their design instantly changes to show you what the armor looks like.
Yeah.
Xenoblade does that with every single one of its armor and weapons, and I know some people like it, but I personally just find it mildly irritating. Part of it due to the fact that I spend a lot of my time designing characters, and I kind of think that the clones say a lot about the character. That's why I prefer it when the character just has one set of clothes that they stick with, even if it doesn't make an awful lot of sense in real life context. So when I go with a character who has a badass costume and then I put on the suit of armor, which frankly makes him look ridiculous, I get kind of... Especially since it's not as if you're customizing their appearance to like create a look you want. It's more, I forced to customize them to a look I really despise because I desperately need the stat increases. I mean, I don't know, is that the kind of thing that bothers you, or is it just me?
Well, I don't really frequently encounter the problem, because I don't play that many... Well, I suppose there is Fallout, but I really don't play that many games where that can be a problem.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I mean, I would say Mass Effect, but really all that happens is that the armor changes color most of the time.
Yeah. Never really changes design, although that can change in the later games because you have armor customization.
That's true. I mean, I think the one time I've ever had kind of like a massive freak out with Mass Effect was when I tried to equip better armor to Rex, who, for those who haven't played Mass Effect, is like this badass hulking giant, and he ended up wearing white and pink, and I was like, no, for the love of God.
Oh, the good old Phoenix armor. The hilarious part is, in Mass Effect 2, that's Caiden's default armor.
Oh God.
I shit you not.
Oh, jeez. I mean,
Caden
Ashley,
is a manly man.
I mean, Ashley, I can understand, but really?
Yeah, in fact, she kind of makes it work, but Caden, no.
Yeah.
And the fandom rejoiced whenever he switched out to blue in Mass Effect 3.
Oh my God. Anyway, the second feature, which I think a lot more people will be a lot more understand with, is the game requires you to grind a lot.
Ah, yes, you've complained about this to me before.
Yeah, that's the thing, because, okay, I don't like grinding if it's kind of balanced. Just to take Pokemon as an example, I've been playing it again recently, and if you can find a decent grinding spot, you can get up like 5, maybe even 10 levels in an hour. if you just keep training in the right spots where the Pokemon are roughly the same level and they give you a decent amount of experience, you can just get levels up pretty quickly, and even if you do go into battle under-leveled, as long as you play strategic and use the super effective moves and keep the items restored, it's fine and workable, even if you are at a disadvantage. Xenoblade, it doesn't quite that. I can grind for an hour against enemies that are far stronger than me, and I'll be lucky if I get a single level, 2 if the game feels really generous. And if you're so much as 5 levels below the enemy, you're dead.
Yeah, I can see where this would be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're 2 levels behind the enemy, it's gonna be an uphill struggle throughout the whole thing, which, yeah, I wouldn't mind, except, here's the thing. I'm currently holding down 2 jobs, and there are days when I can get like an hour of gaming, if I'm lucky. I just want to get through and enjoy the story, which, by the way, is really good in Xenoblade, but I don't have the time to just spend it grinding until I'm at a sufficient level to continue the game. I just want to get to the next bit, so yeah, as much as I love Xenoblade, I would take a point off it simply for the grinding, because I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I didn't forgive Final Fantasy III for this crap. I could only barely forgive you because you make up for it with everything else, but still.
Well, at least it didn't entirely kill the game.
Yeah, I mean, it still has everything else, and just the soundtrack also. Good lord, the soundtrack is... Seriously, if you ever get free time, listen to Xenoblade soundtrack, it is awesome.
Yeah, actually I've listened to a selection of the music from it.
So, yeah, to stop me from rabbiting on, that's really all I can say about Xenoblade Chronicles. It's awesome, save for the grinding. And yeah, out of the Rainfall trilogy, whilst I've yet to play Pandora's Tower, I can say that word, I would definitely say this is the best of the so-called Rainfall trilogy, and definitely one of the best RPGs on the Wii so far.
Not that that's saying much, because the Wii doesn't seem to have many.
True,
but it's still a good game, apparently, according to you, so, hey.
Yep, definitely. That wraps up the Q&A session, and that would lead us into reviews, except we don't have anything big to review, which I guess the Q&A makes up for it, so...
Quickfire reviews!